What's your craziest one night stand story? NSFW. You're supposed to wait until the third date to supplex her. He went right for the Batista bomb. That's a fifth date move for sure. Several weeks. Good on you for waiting for the funeral to be over. Must have been a pain digging her out of that grave though. HMM. Still warm. Be attractive. When I was in college I got a phone call from this girl I occasionally hung out with. She was in my college town with some friends, and said they had a hotel room with 3 girls but there were only 2 guys, and would I like to come over? I did. So you were a part of a 6-person gangbang? There was much fooling around in a pile, then 3 pairs formed. This is pretty much how all orgies turn out, or, so I've been told, or read on Reddit at least. So which guy did you get? The cute one. Girl from Tinder hits me up at 3:30 AM and asks to come over. Obviously a booty call. I gave her my address. She comes in with a huge ass duffel bag that has wow characters all over it. I thought it was pretty dope, until she pulled actual dope out of it and proceeded to shoot up on my couch. She spent the next 45 minutes picking at her face in my mirror and throwing up in my bathroom. I told her she had to leave. That took a fucking turn. Wow, not even once. How the fuck is she affording dope and wow at the same time? She came over in the morning. We fucked. She made me watch the first episode of Gossip Girls. I fell asleep for 6 hours. When I woke up she was still sitting in the same position. Her phone died while I was asleep and she didn't bring her charger. So she sat there doing absolutely nothing for however long. I had to have my grandma call me so I could tell her I had to leave. She offered to stay at my house while I was at my grandma's. I did not know her at all. You dog. You fucked a homeless chick. We call those harbor-sexuals where I'm from. Love that term. When I was younger I met so many of them. 18-23 years old have an on-again off-again boyfriend that they currently were taking a break, sort of lives at home with their parents, sort of lives at her friends, sort of lives at her ex-BF's, has a car her parents bought after she totaled the last one but has no gas and won't pass inspection, work 2 shifts a week at a minimum wage job when not between jobs, takes 2 classes a semester at a community college but changes her mind about major every semester, has a friend who cuts hair at a Supercuts, greet clips Fantastic Sams and has a kid, comes over after knowing you 2 hours then acts like you two have been dating for a year, and X200B. Classic homosexual move right there. I had a girl stop me mid-pump to get up and go home because she was hungry. Maslow's hierarchy. That's what I thought of immediately as well. Basic needs, reproductive needs. LMFAO, that must have been ego damaging. I once had a chick roll up a cigarette and light it up while I was fucking her from behind. Was like, WTF, can't you wait like 1 minute? Sounds like she got bored. Sorry, bro. Oof. I'm just not feeling it. You must have been standing there at first like I killed her. Jackpot. Hold up. Giving sexual assault a whole new meaning. One time my friend John and I drove a couple hours to Boston for an old friend's birthday party that we hadn't seen in a while. It starts as a house party and after that sort of dies down we decided to go hit some bars. I hit it off with a girl, so we broke off from the group and stayed the night at her place. Next morning I wake up, get dressed, and head out into the kitchen. I almost shit a fucking brick because who is sitting at the table? Fucking John. We, completely unknown to each other, went home with girls who happened to be roommates. That's awesome. Definitely would have fucked with my head at first. Lol, right? John, did we fuck last night? Are suddenly gay. John, did we fuck last night? No homo. Not if you say no homo after the question. That's a weird way to do a one night stand, but I don't judge. Got that beat. Basically same setup. My buddy goes home with girl, realizes the Uber is going to his parents' house, boom. She was renting his room out from his parents while he was gone. He had to sneak out of his own house the next morning. I can't even beat that one. Buddy goes home with girl in Uber, realizes he's going to his parents' house, boom. Turns out the girl was actually his dad the whole time. Oh my god, they were roommates. I have a story the total opposite. One year my roommate and I went out for night. Started at the same few parties together. Eventually split off and wound up in different cities 45 minutes from each other. Then reconvened back home at 4 AM with 2 girls we had met at the first party of the night. That is fucking hilarious. Haha, goddamn it, John, friends for life? Not me but my college roommate. He went to a party one night, got wasted, and brought back an equally wasted girl back for some fun times. We had paper thin walls in our apartment so I could usually hear everything, so I just popped in my earbuds and played some WoW. I hear screaming next and not the sex kind. Apparently not 30 seconds in, she threw up all over him and his bed. Odd part is they ended up dating a while later. I just popped in my earbuds and played some WoW. Sexiest part of this story. What the fuck is with the theme of WoW in this thread? I am playing the wrong goddamn games. That sounds like a very English response. It's just polite to offer a guest a hot beverage when they are sad. He's the only guy I know who bled on his first time. Poor bastard. Ha 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 ha. Visited my cousin at his university and we go out to a few bars and a club. Not sure how it happened but we become separated and my phone dies so I have no way of contacting him or a ride back to his apartment. I buy some chicken noodles and slowly make my way in the direction I think his apartment is. Not sure how this happens either but I managed to get somebody to call me an Uber back to his apartment, only to find out it's locked. I am able to get inside to the lobby area but not the actual hallway where his apartment is. It's around 4 AM at this point. Some raw looking weirdos are in this computer lab type room typing up reports or something odd. I beg them to unlock the door and they get angry and say they are calling the cops on me, so I run back out to the lobby praying that someone is there or that the door has become magically unlocked. There's a girl now in the hallway. She's walking away from the door. I frantically knock on the door hoping she's heard me. She turns around. I breathe a sigh of relief as she's walking towards me. As we are walking back down the hallway together I realize that I'm locked out of my cousin's apartment. When I get to his door I know his drunk ass is not going to answer and I still can't call him cause of my dead phone. I notice that the girl who let me in is his neighbor. We make eye contact. She asks if I can't get in. I say I can't get in. She asks if I want to stay with her. I say I want to stay with her. I proceed to do the dirty with her while her cousin, who was actually visiting her, is sleeping in the other room. I wake up the next morning, say hi to her cousin, walk next door to my cousin's apartment, which is now unlocked, and finish my chicken noodles. Wild stuff. My cousin was baffled and so was I. Not me but my best friend in college had been speaking to this girl on Tinder and they eventually met up one night. One thing led to another and they ended up back at hers. They started going at it when suddenly the girl ran out of the room and started being violently sick in the bathroom. Turned out she hadn't been feeling well all day. My friend put her to bed, got her a glass of water etc. Asked the girl if she wanted him to stay. She said no, and then he left. To get out of her student flat he had to exit through the kitchen. He ran into the girl's roommate, whom my friend had met previously. They started chatting in the kitchen and then start having sex. Turns out the girl's roommate also fancied the pants off my pal. As they were just getting into it though the girl asked them to stop, then she ran to the bathroom to also be violently sick. Turns out both roommates had food poisoning from their dinner the night before. Your friend must have pissed off a witch or something. I was thinking Greek god but there doesn't seem to be any turning into animals in this story. How do you go from chatting to someone on a chance encounter to having sex like that? I'm fusing impressed. College and alcohol. Apparently I went to the wrong college and have been drinking alcohol wrong all this time. No, you're just ugly. List of burn centers in the United States. Wikipedia webpage. Don't be unattractive. Rules 1 and 2. They started chatting in the kitchen and then start having sex. I've obviously been doing my chatting wrong. Back when Yak Yak was a thing, a girl said she wanted a guy to watch a movie with and also hook up with. This was over spring break so campus was dead. I was at my apartment next to campus because I had an internship and she was a foreign exchange student staying on campus. Anyway, I respond to her and we comment back and forth, then exchange Snapchats. She ends up being pretty cute, and since I had a roommate and she didn't, I made the trek across campus to her place. It ends up she has a bunk bed. It was like a top bunk with her desk underneath type of setup, so I climb up and we squeeze together in her twin size bunk bed. 5 minutes into the movie, we start going at it. It went about 2 hours, which is not a brag because I did not have the cardio to last that long. I barely made it out alive. We were trying every position we could, but when the roof was only 6 inches above me, it was really tough. We eventually make it to the end, and I walk to the hall bathroom to clean up. I woke up early for my internship, so we said bye and went on our merry way. I didn't hear from her or see her again until she texted me during finals asking if I stole her passport. I didn't, because who would do such a thing? I miss Yik Yak. Oh my god, so do I. Yik Yak era was the high peak of American technologically social world, until someone with money decided to blame Yik Yak headquarters across the nation for cyberbullying and claimed that Yik Yak was the reason of it and it must be banned. Of course, to fight back, they would have to create identities to easily identify the bullies. Quickly, Yik Yak died, and the bill to prevent small companies like Yik Yak was created. Not a short while later, corporations like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, JK, Facebook owns it, etc. takes over the United States. The irony, the sad irony, it wasn't supposed to be a one-night stand. We had worked together for roughly a year and he spent the entire time thinking I was a lesbian. To be fair, he was half right. He finds out from his roommate, our boss, that I'm not, and he asks for my number. We flirty text for a while. I'm really digging this dude. He finally asks me to meet him and some friends for New Year's Eve. We meet up, get completely shit-faced and spend the whole night all over each other. We go back to his place. We proceed to break the bed frame and forget that his windows are open, so the entire neighborhood heard everything. In the process of breaking the bed, I had fallen and bruises the entire left side of my hip, back, leg, butt, but we can't tell anyone at work. No dating policy, so we decide to keep it under wraps. We keep talking, keep texting. Things seem great. I move into a new place and we talk about christening the apartment. Then Friday comes along and he leaves for lunch and never comes back. Our co-workers are calling the hospitals and police departments. This isn't like him, or so we thought. He turns up over 2 days later, knocking on his roommate's door at 3 AM, explaining that he spent his entire paycheck and bank account on strippers and coke. He is promptly shipped off the rehab in New York. He calls me from the airport to apologize and swears I'll be the first person he calls in 90 days. That was January of 2009. Never did get that phone call, but I did recently see him on Facebook and he looks happy and clean, so I'm happy for him. What a roller coaster. Went to a buddy's wedding, held in our mutual hometown of 12k people. Bride was in an optometry program and had a number of friends from the program in attendance. At the reception, I proceed to tie one on. They had a margarita bar and kegs, so it was that kind of affair, and hit it off with one of the bride's optometry friends. Our group decides to depart and hit the town, which constituted going to the towny bar down the street and drinking until we were plowed. I talk the girl into walking up the hill to my parents, who were at the wedding reception house, stopping for multiple gross macchiatos along the way. We get there and do our thing in my childhood bed, and I promptly pass out. I wake up in the morning, vaguely recalling some of the previous night's events, and am totally shocked to see this girl in my bed, situated just down the hall from my parents' bedroom. My stirring wakes her and she takes one look at me and says, "You're gonna have to sneak me out of here, aren't you?" I replied, "Yeah." She was totally cool with it. I went out and took the lay of the land. My parents were already up and in the kitchen, but I had an avenue to get her out unseen and took my shot. She was on it and we made it out clean. I took her to breakfast and found her a ride home, because it was way further than I was going to drive and I had a buddy heading that way. My parents didn't find out for years, and it was way too late for them to be pissed when they finally did. Always appreciated that girl's effort. She was marriage material, the one that snuck away. About a week after I got dumped, I posted a shirtless picture on our subreddit and a girl in my city was interested. We exchanged pictures and arranged a drinking date, met for drinks, seemed to like each other fine, agreed to go to her place. On the way there, she stopped at a pharmacy and bought lube, went upstairs to her condo. We start fooling around, clothing comes off and we start fucking. A few minutes in, she gets up and says, "You know what I love about one night stands? I don't have to be someone I'm not. I'm going to go do some drugs. Do you want some drugs?" Proceeds to bump coke off her kitchen table. We fuck again. She threatens to kill me twice throughout as dirty talk. Walk home in a daze. Pretty confused about life and feeling soul drained. Buy a burrito. Bump into a friend I hadn't seen in almost 10 years who'd apparently moved next door. Weird night. Bro, I want a girl to threaten to kill me, nut button. You're the type to stick in crazy. Huh. How was the burrito? Talk Mexican to me, baby. Como estuvo el burrito? Your city sounds dope. No, not dope. It was coke-ass. That's rather nice of her to offer though. I've been in plenty of situations where someone I'm with decides to do some drugs, and they've never asked if I want any. I had a one night stand, and a BJ the morning after, on a cruise ship. We were flirting up at the bar late one evening, and went on a walk around the ship. We ended up going up the helipad at the front of the boat and started getting a little heavy. We went ahead and did the damn thing, only to realize after that the entire bridge crew could clearly see us fucking at the front of the boat like a dirty Titanic reenactment. The next day she came by my cabin and we had a round two on the balcony of my cabin. I got blown while enjoying the view of the Caribbean Sea in the morning sunshine. It was pretty damn great. Hate to break it to you, but there's also cameras observing cabin balconies. There are thousands of cameras on cruise ships. Don't ask, don't tell. I do all kinds of dirty things with my wife on a cruise ship. I don't give a fuck if someone watches, I just don't want to think about them watching. Like a dirty Titanic reenactment. Nice. I went home with a girl. We were fucking. I was on my back with my head hanging over the foot of the bed. Just a bare concrete floor beneath. She climbed on and the bed flipped. I landed on top of my head. Pretty sure I was concussed. She landed face first and knocked her two front teeth out. She was wasted, so she didn't freak out even a little. I offered to drive her to the hospital in her car as mine was at home, but she just called me stupid. She actually wanted me to finish. I politely noped out and walked about 6 of the 11 miles back to my apartment in flip-flops before a good guy cab driver drove me the rest of the way for free. He said the story was payment enough. Told this before, but I lost my virginity in a one-night stand with a girl I just met at a bar. We ended up fucking behind some bushes in front of an apartment building at like 3 AM. Went 2 rounds. Anyone could have seen us if they passed by, but no one did. Although just before that some guys passed by in a car while she was giving me a BJ at a park nearby and started cheering and hollering. We were both very drunk. Classy. When I was an 18-year-old virgin, I worked at a store in a shopping mall. There was a car insurance place a few doors down from our store, and there was a woman that worked there that was about 28 years old, and a solid 10/10. She had this real sexy librarian thing going. Glasses, hair always in a ponytail, or braided pigtails. I joked with my buddies a few times that I should ask her out. One day she was in our store and after chatting a while, she made a comment about it being a while since the last time she got laid, and she made it somewhat clear that I had a shot. I decided I was going to do something I never thought I had the balls to do. During closing time I went over to her store and asked her straight up, "Me, got any plans after work?" Her, "No." Me, "Wanna fuck?" Her, "Yes I do." I have no recollection of how good it was. It was my first time, so I was just happy to get my dick sucked. The next morning, she asks me if I could drive her 9-year-old kid to school. Most awkward drive of my life. A few days later, she is in the mall shopping, and brings her kid by my store to say hi. I didn't know how to deal with this. It seemed like I trapped myself. The next day I told her that I didn't feel mature enough for her, and I didn't want to continue seeing her. I was pretty close to chickening out from that conversation, and just quitting my job and disappearing. Yo, mad props, this is ballsy as fuck in all regards, especially breaking it off. I have a little bit of an opposite story. So when I was a very young man of 21 back in the college days, I used to go into this towny bar on the outskirts of town. I like it there because you could just shoot pool and play darts and it was a hell of a lot cheaper. Anyway, I thought the bartender was hot. I kind of made sure she knew I was looking at her that night, but I wimped out and never talked to her, so I decided to go back the next week and give it a shot. I ask her if she wants to do something one night and she says I can have a drink with her at the end of the night if I stick around. We talked for a bit. Found out she was 30. She was lying. She was actually 32, and she had a kid, but we made plans to go out one evening. She had a son, which she told me about. Well, we kept hooking up, hanging out, hooking up, hanging out. I mean, It's like we weren't dating but everyone knew that we were a couple. I ended up getting into a fight with her ex in the parking lot of the bar one night. Not a great idea for an education major, but believe me when I say I was defending myself. Not like the cops would have ever believed that. But anyway, so after a few months of this, I start to think, wow, I'm too young to have this responsibility. She's 30. She might be looking to restart a family, have a father figure for her son. I need to talk to her. So one night over her app I work up the courage to talk to her. I say, Heather, not her real name. I don't know where you think this relationship is going. I like you, but I'm not ready to settle down. And I like you a lot, but I don't want you to think you wasted your time if this doesn't work out. I don't want to hurt you or your son. She laughed out loud and said in a southern accent, oh honey, I know. Don't take this the wrong way but you aren't mature enough for me yet. You will be one day. You're a sweetie. But I'm moving to Virginia in about 4 months and I was waiting to bring it up. But since we're talking about it, yeah, this is just a fun fling. I was instantly relieved. But then I thought about it and was like, wait, should I be insulted too? Nah. We talked about how we were good bed partners, but not life partners. We kept seeing each other until the day she moved. I gotta admit, I started really falling for her after that. It's like the whole power dynamic shifted. Still keep in touch, but it's not like that. She's married with more kids. I'm married with a kid. Just keep in touch on Facebook. Neither of our spouses know. I think it's better that way. I don't keep secrets from my wife, but I don't really think she wants to know what previous women I've slept with unless I was in regular contact with them. Your wife knows you've been around the block. You don't have to show her which houses though. Hey mister, these are supposed to be one night stand story. Ooh, now I get it. Upvote for that blood drawing nightstand. Was running a pirate convention. Cosplay, Ren Fair types, artists and musicians, etc. And met a guy. We clicked right away and I hung out with him and his friends into the wee hours of the morning singing pirate songs and drinking. Ended up telling him he could plunder my booty. Had raunchy and wonderful sexcapades in my corset and wench skirts. Spent the night with him in his hotel room. Went to lunch with him and his friends the next day. Found out he was only there because his friends dragged him to try and cure his depression because he was in the middle of a divorce. Ended up really enjoying himself. And me. We kept in touch for a while. I still hear from him every few years by email. He's remarried now. I'm married, too. But it was a fun romp. When I was 17 years old, my school went on a class trip for a week to another country. We would just go to museums, events, do some sports related activities and etc. during the day. Although we weren't technically allowed to drink, the drinking age was 16 and teachers would pretend to not notice if we had a few beers. There was a girl that I kept making eye contact with most of the trip, and on the last day of the trip, the final planned event was having dinner at an old restaurant. The girl ended up sitting next to me. We kept ordering drinks and started getting drunk, including the teachers. Keep in mind, this school was in Germany and having a beer or two with teachers is considered pretty normal, especially for gymnasium. The girl and I started playing footsie and talking and eventually she held my hand and my dick got super hard. I was horny, drunk, and asked her if she wants to go to the bathroom with me. I told her I'll go in first, then in a few minutes if no one's in there she should come in the men's bathroom. A few minutes passed and she walked in. We went into a stall and just started doing the dirty in any way we could given the small space and disgusting toilet in our way. About 10 minutes into our sexual endeavor, one of the teachers walked into the bathroom and knocked on the stall and asked if I'm okay since I've been gone for so long. I told him I'm fine, just having a stomachache. The girl started giggling, and I'm 110% sure he knew she was in there. He says okay, we're leaving soon and walked out. We put our clothes back on. I walked out. 30 seconds later she walked out. We sat back at the table like nothing happened. You did what most 17-year-olds never could. Hook up on a school trip. Respect. Late to the party but here it goes. I was celebrating my 25th day and went out. Met a cute guy and went back to his place. When we were on our way he explains me that he lives with his mom so I'll have to be quiet. I was like WTF. Okay, whatever, I'm already here. In another city far from everywhere. So went into the house. Very quiet and we did the deed. Next morning I'm like okay, I need to leave cause my parents are waiting for me for day lunch. I live 2 hours away in another city so I planned my escape and when I'm coming down the stairs his mom is there and says hi. Long story short I ended up having breakfast with her. Told her it was my day so she made some really good eggs and toasts for me and we were having really nice conversation when I told her I needed to leave and I had no idea how, and she explained me every ring. Super cool mom. Never saw the guy again but I'll never forget that day. Celebrarian. Late to the party but here it goes. I was celebrating my 25th day and went out, met a cute guy and went back to his place. When we were on our way he explains me that he lives with his mom so I'll have to be quiet. I was like WTF. Okay, whatever, I'm already here, in another city far from everywhere. So went into the house, very quiet and we did the deed. Next morning I'm like okay, I need to leave cause my parents are waiting for me for day lunch. I live 2 hours away in another city so I planned my escape and when I'm coming down the stairs his mom is there and says hi. Long story short I ended up having breakfast with her. Told her it was my day so she made some really good eggs and toasts for me and we were having really nice conversation when I told her I needed to leave and I had no idea how, and she explained me every ring. Super cool mom. You win the longest sentence ever contest. Not technically a one night stand, as it was with an ex, but we hadn't seen each other for a couple of years. I'm watching the GOT S7 finale, and get a picture message from her. We'll call her Rachel. I hadn't really known Rachel to be into bondage or anything like that, but the picture I got proved that wrong. All I see is her with a crazy grin on her face, wearing this leather piece that wrapped around her boobs, and also formed a choker. No clue what it's actually called. I text her back. This is kind of how the conversation went. Ah, picture message F. Me. Holy shit. Did you buy that? Ah, no, but I thought you'd enjoy seeing me in it. F. I do. I really do. You busy in an hour? Ah, nope. I have my house all to myself for the night. F. Mind if I come over and blindfold you? Ah, yes. Please do. And I did. We had sex on every surface available. My first and only experience using body oil. She let me take pictures of her blowing me blindfolded, and then finished me off in her mouth. We showered, fooled around some more, and fell asleep. I woke up the next day, went and bought some new tires for my 4Runner. She went and got a boyfriend, and that was that. Would do again. Met this girl and sang her Brown Eyed Girl on the grass behind a strip club and then ate and fingered her ass all night. A real gentleman. Brown eyes right. I hooked up with this girl who talked about her sister all the time while we were doing it. Apparently her sister's ex who she slept with after they broke up had the weirdest dick she had ever seen. Also her sister pissed some dude's bed on a one night stand. She was crazy hot though. Did the dude have a leaky sink? And X200B? She let me put it in the butt. Unfortunately she didn't prep and probably needed a shit before we got started, because when we turned the lights on and there was shit smeared everywhere. Capital F. Fucking shit everywhere. LPT. Never do anal with strangers. I stayed over at a co-worker's house due to terrible weather after work one time. Her husband was out of town, but he told me not to worry about it over the phone. We played a few board games with her kids and lost track of time. She took the kids to bed and I headed for the guest room. I had work the next day and was exhausted so I only took off my shoes and passed out immediately. I wanted to get up early so I could shower and try to get to work before everyone else woke up so my alarm went off while it was still dark. I obviously woke in an unfamiliar room and swung my legs out of bed, smashing my toes into the nightstand. I started bleeding everywhere and my toenail popped off. Everyone in the house woke up to my incident. She ended up driving me to urgent care as we could not get my toe to stop bleeding, but took 2 hours due to the snow. I thought this was gonna take a different turn. I need bamboozle insurance. I got dragged down to a pirate event in Lebanon many years ago. After spending most of the day keeping a nice buzz on while beating the heat, I lost a couple of games off Tablero. Think checkers but with shots. Late at night and took a walk to check out some other camps. Walked into one. Locked eyes with a girl. She walked up to me and flat out asked if I needed a bed warmer. I said yes and we had plenty of fun in my tent. The next morning I woke up and as soon as I walked to our main camp area, I was serenaded with "If you can't get laid in the scar, you can't get laid at all." Went out clubbing for the first time and met a friend of a friend. Went back to her place and watched a 120-pound girl snort line after line of coke off her bedside table. Around 4 AM her ex-boyfriend kicked in the door and surprise surprise, this dude is so high airplanes are brushing his toes. He wants to fight me and after a brief altercation realized this is a bad plan. He ends up leaving and the girl really wants me to stay and offers to let me snort coke off her ass. Worst part is I ended up seeing her again a few months later and the so-called ex showed up again and smashed her television with his fist. Might see her again for New Year's. A friend and I who I met through work and ended up flatting with for 6 months went on a holiday to Fiji because he was going back to England soon. A group of girls from the States were staying at the backpackers we were staying at and we bumped into them and chatted with them a few times. One of the girls was very forward and after a night of bar hopping with the group I found myself with her in the open boot trunk of a taxi taking us back to our quarters. The taxi had a subwoofer that the girl happened to be leaning against and after a few minutes of music vibrating through her she gave me the fucking look. She came back to our place and me and her started going at it in the main bedroom with my mate in the next room. As she was about to climax, she literally yelled, "Oh God, finish me." The next day my mate was laughing at me and said, I don't know if you guys were having sex last night, or playing Mortal Kombat on a Nintendo. Asked this group of people for a lighter at a strip club. This girl in the group, not a stripper, comes out to smoke with me. I am wasted drunk. Next thing I know we are making out and we end up fucking in the janitor's closet with the door slightly open. This one stripper saw us go at it and just closed the door. Oh geez. Met this girl at a bar and got her to come back to my place. Things were going well and everything was cool. Did the deed. Went to sleep. Woke up the next morning she was gone, which is cool. Right on. But my bed was soaked. Like damn it was wet. And I was thinking man I knew I did okay but I didn't lay some pipe that good did I, so I got up and leaned over to smell it. Yep. That's piss. This girl wet my bed like a lot. I was pretty pissed. So I go back to the bar a couple days later with my buddy who's a regular there and told him the story and he says to me, oh yeah, she's a regular too and she's done that quite a few times and has a reputation now. We call her Water Gun. Jesus Christ. Not me but an old friend. He picked this girl up at the pub and went back to her house. While the foreplay was going on she suggested the use of anal beads on him, and him being game went with it. They continued doing the deed and just when he's about to climax she ripped the beads out making him shit on her bed. He immediately got embarrassed and ran to the bathroom, collected his thoughts and came out to apologize and there she is rolling around in his shit. I'm a single gay man and sometimes I drink too much wine and think about how nice a big old dick would be and end up on Grindr. One time, I got on Grindr and started chatting with Darren, a nice African American guy with a fat dick and a wicked sense of humor, and he decides he wants to come to Big Danny's house of hoeing to get the business. While arranging the dick appointment, Marty, a different guy, messages me trying to get action as well. I tell Marty that I have found my dick for the night but I'll hit him up another time. Anyway, Darren says he's gonna take a shower because I don't suck dirty dick. But his shower takes forever and he says he's on the way but Grindr keeps saying he's 8 miles away, so I let Marty know that he can come get some of this. 15 minutes later, I'm standing outside smoking a cigarette when Darren and Marty show up at the exact same time. It's hella awkward and I'm drunk and I try to explain that I wasn't being shady, I just thought Darren had flaked. Darren says well we can all go inside. Marty happily agrees, and I spend the next 20 minutes with a dude in both ends trying to get them to come quickly because I feel hella awkward and don't know any other way to get out of my first threesome. And that's my wildest one night stand. When the ex and I had just broke up we went our separate ways and I got with her younger cuter sister for a fun night, but she ended up having her adventure also. I heard she ended up with this guy who had a leaky faucet in his bathroom. I know this because she confessed to me coming over the day after to pick up some clothes, that she said she pissed the bed in some dude's house because he left his faucet going. Now she carries a backpack in her car filled with clothes just to be safe. Said the guy was real mad she pissed his bed, so she took something valuable from him when he wasn't paying attention. She thinks he still doesn't know she did it. I wonder if he will ever find out. The wet bandit strikes again. Did she take his passport? I lived in a old converted two-family house, built in 1884. There were 4 apps on each side. All the apps were rented by HS friends, and so one year we decided to have an open house Halloween party. I dressed as Fred Garvin. I had the hat, glasses, outfit, truss and business cards. Worked out a good Dan Aykroyd imitation and had a number of lines that I tried out on all the ladies that night. Well, Mom, you see, when a VP like yourself comes here to do business, it's customary for the company to send a gal up to the room, compliments of Great Lakes feed and grain. And, well, since you're a gal, the company sent me Fred Garvin, male prostitute, Hans business card. It made quite an impression because at the end of the night I found Wonder Woman in my bed. Needless to Fred Garvin earned his pay that night. When I was much younger, picked up this petite woman at a bar in Valdosta, head back to her house, both of us a bit drunk, and have so drunk sex. Pass out, get up a few hours later to piss, go back to what I think is her room, pass back out, wake up being ridden by her slightly chubby roommate and have some of the best sex of my life. Girl was amazing. Original girl finds me in her roommate's bed and starts to pout, but eventually makes all of us breakfast, end up in an amazing threesome, mainly due to chubby girl, and pass out again. Get woken up roughly and end up hiding in closet as roommate's estranged husband inspects house because it smelled like sex as he picks her up to go to marriage counseling. Turns out roommate's estranged husband is my new boss. I find this out when both of the girls I slept with just a week before show up at my work to take his truck. Get to spend a few hours listening to my boss complain about his wife and how much a bitch she was being and how she was living a slut and how he was going to kill the next guy he caught her with. I quit my job the next day and got tested for VD. I don't even care if it's true. This is the best one. For me it'd have to be one from a few years ago. Ran into a girl I knew from college while out at a bar with some friends. One thing led to another and we ended up back at my place. Everything went fine until I wake up the next day and this girl had pissed herself in my bed. I got the fuck out of my own room and just sat stunned in my living room. Farmed out suggestions of what to do to a couple friends. Best suggestions were kick her out, burn your entire room, and leave and never go back. That's her apartment now. Did she steal something expensive? No, she didn't steal anything other than my bedsheets future. Not even your passport? My McDonald's girlfriend. I'm a lesbian at a gay bar with a transman friend. See, who's used to getting a hookup every night. I'm super shy. Never had a girlfriend and lost my virginity just 2 months prior to a friend of a friend who was planning to live in a van for the next 3 years. C has been chatting up this really hot girl. Trading drinks for a few hours while I struggle to get someone to do a jello shot with me. When he comes up to tap me in, he tells the girl he's got to go home. But I'm great company. Oddly enough, this works. She's tipsy and giggly. I only have time to make 5 minutes of awkward conversation before she kisses me. I tell her the bar's pretty loud. Maybe we should go somewhere to eat. She votes McDonald's. I drive her over there. In the drive-thru, she starts talking about how it's so hard to find someone nice, how she's struggled to find someone who wants to date her. She's almost crying and between the pay and pick-up windows I tell her she's really beautiful and sweet, and I'd love to be her girlfriend. She brightens up and just goes, really, you date me? I think to myself, nailed it, no more lonely nights. I not only have a girlfriend, she's hot as hell and seems so nice. What I should have been thinking is how C always gets hot girls, but every one of them is 10 pounds of crazy in a 5-pound bag. We have sex at her place. I make sure she's not too drunk first. My Hitachi game is on point. She's a screamer and shaking. It's pretty bad on the receiving end, but I wave it off. The only other time I had sex I couldn't come, so maybe I'm just less sensitive. She says she's tired, and I say that's fine. I can leave if she wants. Thinking maybe she isn't down for me staying over. Nope, that's not what she's thinking. She's thinking it's crack time. I watch in absolute horror as she put a rigged up water bottle with tinfoil at the top while she smokes crack right in front of me. Then she says she's got to clean up before her roommates get back. But I can sleep over if I want. I know what you're thinking. This is the moment to eject. Run out. Change my name. Lawyer up. Hit the gym. Flee, you fool. I don't. My automatic response is if that's alright with you. Apparently, in that 10 seconds of time that it took to respond, smoking crack was not a deal breaker for me. I did not sleep. I breathed slowly while lying on top of my purse and vibrator. Hours of wondering if I was going to be murdered for the $20 in my wallet. If my parents were going to read about the lesbian whose face was ripped off and eaten by her crack-addled lover. When the sun rose I planned to get up and bid my adieu. She came in and told me she doesn't know where her roommate is. Could I check the county jail's website on my phone to see if he's locked up? I tell her I still have a Motorola Razr so I can't. Winning the year's most outrageous lie in 2014. And bounce. Hard. I was throwing on my pants when she came in but I ended up leaving my bra and my socks. Tell her it was fun. Hope to see you again. So fast it sounds like I smoke meth and as soon as her door closes behind me I fucking run. I sign up for OkCupid a year later and find my fiancée, who I met up with because she listed drugs as a hard number. TLDR. Had sex. Watched someone do crack. Defended Hitachi magic wand with my life. Doesn't matter. Found a future wife. She's almost crying and between the pay and pick up windows I tell her she's really beautiful and sweet, and I'd love to be her girlfriend. Jesus, this is the most lesbian thing I've ever lesbianed across on the internet. 2 hours in a bar and a stop at McDonald's and you were already U-hauling. How about a one-night frustration story? I was over with a guy, and we were watching movies on TV. It got late. He asked if I wanted to stay the night. What the heck? I'm low-key horny, so why not? We crawl into bed. We lie there. HMM. I crawl closer to him. He hugs me. Okay. Better. I wait for him to make a move. Nothing. I check. Yes. We're in bed. The same bed. Lights are off. We're under the blankets. I cough. Nothing. I shift a bit. Brushing my boobs against his hand. No response. Okay. I tell him I'm cold. No problem. He gets up. Gets me an extra blanket. Covers me. And crawls back into bed. By now, I'm wondering what the hell is going on. I stretch and accidentally brush his penis, and wait for him to react, and wait, and finally I hear him snoring softly. Couldn't believe it. So I rolled over and went to sleep myself. Next morning, he made me breakfast and thanked me for a fun evening of movies and chatting. Worst one night stand ever. Why didn't you make the move? What was the context of you being over to begin with? A guy at university in one of my classes. We'd hung out for a few months, gotten to know each other, began to hang out after class and some evenings. Sounds like he took Netflix and chilled till literally. Us guys can be dense. Can't count how many opportunities I missed only to realize years later. Hence why it's part of the reason why I'm 26 and still have yet to get laid. Press F for me boys. Or, he just didn't want sex. Yeah, it's funny how people don't even consider the possibility. If this was, so I ran my hand over her vag and she still didn't get the picture. OP would be losing some karma. Lol, what a boss straight up doesn't give a fuck. I've posted this before, but this is one of my better ones, though I've decibel had several that are as crazy if not crazier. I think my best story is probably the twins. I fucked 2 sets of twins BTW. I was a waitress at Hooters and these twins came in with their parents. One was engaged and the other was single. His parents thought I was delightful and pushed their son to give me his number, which he did. That night I met up with him at his hotel room that he was sharing with his brother. We get freaky while his brother is in the next bed watching. My guy finishes and goes to the bathroom to flush the condom. While he's in there, the engaged twin lifts his blanket to show me his extremely erect penis. My guy comes back through the room and goes on the balcony to smoke a cigarette. Gross. I walk out naked and tell him that his brother wants to fuck me. He is in utter disbelief. I tell him what he just did, but he thinks I'm making it up or misread the situation. I bet him $100 that if I walked over to his brother right now, he would fuck me. No questions asked. We shake and I walk inside and, without saying a word, rode him to completion. Pulled $100 out of my guy's wallet, fucked him one more time and left. I got spit roasted by 2 Asian ladder boys in Thailand. I was dating one of them and then one day she asked if I would sleep with her friend, who had a crush on me and was very interested in sleeping with a blonde, blue-eyed white man for the first time. The following Friday the friend came over to our apartment and I shagged her. Eventually I was on all fours on the bed sucking her dick. At this point my ladder boy girlfriend joined in and she ominously began rubbing lube on my ass. Next thing I knew, Her dick was up my butt and she was pegging me as her friend was banging me in the mouth. I had sucked ladder boy dick before, but that night was my first time taking dick up my ass. I felt emasculated, but it was quite hot. The spit roasting ordeal only lasted about 5 minutes as my GF failed to hold her nut, probably because my virgin ass was so tight. Edit. Let me just say that those two ladder boys looked indistinguishable from real Thai females. No Western man could tell the difference. They were both very petite and both had lovely DD breasts. I'm a sucker for petite girls with massive fake teddies. My favorite porn actress is Nessa Devil. What? Meet at the club. She's drunk but her friends drive us back to her place. I wait for her to sober up because it makes me extremely uncomfortable. Have mediocre sex. She had this giant VCH piercing she must have been proud of but it clicks the teeth. Annoying. She drives me home afterward. Nickelback's Animals plays. She cranks it up and she gets into it. Talks about how we were animals last night. 100% noped. She gave me her number. Threw that shit away. Fucking disappointed that I had sex with a Nickelback fan. Doesn't have to do with the actual sex part of it, but there was a female that worked for me that really wanted to sleep with me. I told her that I would get in trouble if I slept with a coworker. She literally turned in her 2-week notice during her next shift. She proceeded to get a job at Subway across the street from where I worked, and one night after I got off work, she came over and we banged it out. It was very flattering that she would get a second W4 for that year just for me. Haha.